All right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon for me, maybe a morning for you, or evening, even when you're on the other side of the world. Yeah, thank you for tuning in. I see already a lot of people, or some people at least. Can I see this? Yes, getting into the stream. So, what we do today, we will talk about supplements. So, the evidence based approach to nutritional supplements, which ones work, which ones are probably not really worth your money. I'm talking obviously about BCAAs and other ones that we have talked about on the channel. How this live stream will work, usually we take 5 to 10 minutes to let people get into the stream and to answer already some questions already, so you can actually post some questions already in the chat. If you have some questions, obviously I got a lot of questions from Instagram already, so I will just go through some. I will try to answer them, not all of them, because some of them will come back, and then after 5 to 10 minutes I will get into some slides, some studies, and some details about some supplements that I think are potentially worth your money, depending on which level and how you train. But definitely we can consider them and deep dive into the science. So good. So I got actually a lot of responses on our Instagram related to this question. It's always interesting, supplements, right? How it works. So first from Nico, he said, should I cycle creatine? We will talk about in depth about creatine, but cycling meaning, should I go, for example, for 2 3 months creatine and then cycle down for a couple months, and then go back. Recent data has actually shown that you don't really need to cycle this. It was a little bit of bro science from back in the day that bodybuilders and so on just cycled it up. Actually, it doesn't really matter. You can cycle, no problem, but you can also just take continuously. There are some safety studies in from creatine in people that have taken up to 20 grams for 6 months in a row, 20 grams every day creatine, and actually related to their kidney health and everything related to their blood parameters related to mostly kidney health was actually completely fine, completely healthy, right? So that's quite interesting. That creatine, we'll get into this. It's also a very safe supplement, at least when it's not contaminated. So yeah, you can cycle it, but you don't have to. You can also just take it continuously. We will talk about the dose later on. Beta alanine, is it worth it? Yeah, I mean, beta alanine has received some good research. Actually, a friend and colleague of mine, Wim de Rave from University of Kent, has done a lot of good research on beta alanine. And yes, I would say it's worth your money. I mean, it has shown some potential benefits, and we'll deep dive into beta alanine for sure as well. Let's see if I can get some questions already. So if you have some questions, just get them in, and then I can read them as well, and I can live answer them. Collagen. Yeah. So I haven't put collagens in the slide deck. Collagen has been talked a lot about the last whatever 2 3 4 years, about a lot of influencers, that it would improve your bone health, tendon health, and so on. So if you allow me, I will actually show a study that all ignited this, because collagen is, I think, an important supplement that a lot of people have a lot of questions about. So it is a study from, here you see it, from 2017 or 19, now I forgot, from Keith Baar's lab. So Keith Baar is a very well-known scientist. And so here you can see the study. So vitamin C enriched gelatin supplementation before intermittent activity. This was rope skipping, so jumping activity for the tendons, augments collagen synthesis. So they did some more detailed mechanistic research. I will spare you all the details of the study, but basically they took placebo, 5 gram or 15 grams of gelatin. Gelatin obviously contains a lot of collagen, and you can just buy this in the store, right? It's a very cheap supplement for sure. Now you can obviously buy purified collagen. And basically, what is collagen? Collagen consists of non-essential amino acids, namely glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline. So this is important to know. So it doesn't contain all the amino acids that, for example, a whey shake would actually contain. Okay, so that's an important concept already to think about. So here they study specifically collagen, the effect of collagen. And what you see here is just the blood parameters of glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline that obviously go up and go up more with 15 gram of gelatin supplementation. So that's just to show that it works, and others go up less, except for hydroxylysine as well. And then they had a more mechanistic study. So they engineered ligaments in vitro. This means so in a cell culture, in a culture lab, right? So these are not real ligaments; these are engineered ligaments consisting mainly of collagen. And then they had they had a measurement of collagen synthesis, which is PINP, and this is it's the next one. Sorry. So here, and this is actually a measurement of collagen, PINP, and you see here that collagen synthesis actually increased in these engineered ligaments when you took serum from people who have ingested this gelatin. All right, so here it's one of the first mechanistic studies that show that you can actually increase your collagen synthesis by taking in supplementing gelatin. Obviously, this is in vitro. This is not in humans. They used serum from humans, which is quite neat, but they didn't do this obviously in vivo because that's very, very hard. So that's, I think, the most important thing. There are some more studies on collagen. You can do it. So I would. If you for example are very prone to overloading your muscular tendon system, so when your tendons get inflamed quite a lot, and any load that you put on actually has a negative effect, then potentially you can actually increase your collagen content by supplementing with collagen. I would not recommend against it, although very important. This study did not, how do I say, compare the effects of collagen per se, which as I said has more non-essential amino acids, compared to, for example, a whey shake, which also has all the amino acids, less concentration of, for example, lysine and hydroxyproline, but it does have all the amino acids. So who says that just a simple whey supplementation can also do the trick on collagen synthesis? Right? So this is something that future research should look into, in my opinion. Good. So that's on collagen synthesis. Let's see if there's any questions here. Alberto, he said any evidence on spinach extract S-distesterone? Actually, I don't know this one. I have to look into this. So I am skeptical at this point. I will show some studies that have the most evidence, or let's say green evidence, yellow evidence, and red evidence. And at this moment, maybe I would put in this extract. I would definitely not spend my money on it. There's better options. Besides beta-alanine, are there any other supplements that could have an influence on endurance performance, so pure cardiovascular fitness? Yes, for example, beetroot juice. I will explain this in detail actually now. So yes, very good questions. There are some specific supplements that could enhance endurance performance. So thanks for the question. So let's see if some people already have jumped in. Yes, very good. So what we are going to do now is I will go over a PowerPoint presentation. PowerPoint, it's just a slide deck that I made, and that where I will show the most important evidence. Here you go. Nice. Yes, all right. So nutritional supplements to support performance. Performance, what do I mean with that? Strength performance, so pure, let's say a 1 RM clean and jerk or a 1 RM deadlift, so maximal strength. And then also endurance performance, right? What could actually work and which supplements could be potentially worth your money. Good. So first of all, let's start with a spoiler. Supplements are a very big business, obviously. What do I mean with that? There's a lot of companies that try to sell you all kinds of stuff, and there's a lot of money to be made. You can see here the amounts. This is just the value of global dietary supplements. Here in 2020, it's probably even increased even more now in 2024. It has a massive growth rate. The number of supplements on the US market, 55,000. That's crazy, right? Like, how many supplements can you have? 55,000 are just on the market. How many Americans, Europeans, potentially similar numbers, take supplements daily? 55%. That's very high numbers. And number of supplements that are that have studies regarding their side effects or even their potency and how well they work, 0.3%. So a lot of companies just push out supplements. They don't really know the science behind it because there's much less regulation than, for example, medicine, and that's why you have so many supplements on the market. So that was always, and I thought it was quite an interesting finding here. Good. All right. So let's look at the slides here. So what I also not really a spoiler, but important point here. Obviously, supplements and athletic performance. Many people start from the supplements. How can I improve by taking this supplement? Obviously, supplements will only increase your performance maybe 1 to 3, 4%. It always should be on the right side, meaning you start with a balanced diet, then you go for potentially some sport nutrition, some protein, some carbohydrates, and then if you really get towards, let's say, a decent level and you want to keep performing, we could go for supplements. It's not the other way around as the left side, right? That's how most of the companies want you to see supplements. All right, so that's just something to take into account. Also, which one do I take and so on. It really depends on your level of training, your level of athleticism, and in most people, all the supplements I will talk about are not really necessary. They can just help you to get to the next level. Good. So this is from a paper, a very nice overview paper. You can always go back to the slides. I will actually get myself out of the way here. Yes. So you can see here the PMID on the right bottom side of the screen. What is that? That is just a reference of the paper. You just put that in Google or in PubMed and you will get to this paper. And this is a very nice overview that has a much more detailed explanation than what I will do on all the supplements or many of the supplements I will talk about today. All right, so if you want to have some background reading, it's made for coaches, so everyone can actually, you will understand most of this research. It's not written too difficultly. Let me go back. Okay, here we are. So here is just an overview table. Also here you can just go back later on. It doesn't have to be now. And as I said, you have the green. That means they've enjoyed the most evidence around them. So most of the studies have shown, okay, this has likely a positive effect on performance, on endurance performance or strength performance, right? And even health. You see on the bottom side. Amber is like, yeah, I would say likely not, but there have been some studies that have shown positive effects. And then you have red. Red are just BS supplements that have been pushed out to the market without any scientific evidence. All All right, I won't go over this. For example, testosterone boosters and so on. There haven't been too many of those that are actually evidence-based. Good, herbal supplements and so on. So that is just an overview of all the supplements. What I'm going to talk about today is caffeine, and mostly I will try to explain why they work. I think that's important. You can say, I just take caffeine, it works, nice, but if you understand a little bit of the physiology, the biochemistry behind it, you can also understand why you should take it or why you should not take it. Beta-alanine, beetroot juice, sodium bicarbonate, creatine, and then also I'll talk about BCAAs or branched chain amino acids. Good. So that will be the topics of today. If you have more questions, just go ahead and ask me, obviously. Good. So, good. First of all, caffeine. So on the right side, you see where I'm at. So I put it in green. This is the first typical supplement that I will talk about. Caffeine, widely used, right? Like if you take a pre-workout supplement, most of the potency or why you feel like pumped before going into a workout is because of the caffeine, right? So maybe a normal coffee could also do the job, and maybe a bit more tasty and less other side products in it. So why does it work? You can look at it from the muscles perspective, but also from the brain perspective. And I think most of the potent effect of caffeine are coming from the effects on the brain. So why? Because it is an antagonist, so it counteracts, it works against an adenosine receptor. So here in the middle of the slide, you see that adenosine is a neurotransmitter that is secreted in the brain and makes you feel drowsy, sleepy, want to go to bed, like going down, you know. So if you antagonize the receptor of this neurotransmitter, which is exactly what caffeine does, it boosts your arousal. It makes you feel like I want to go for it and I want to jump into this workout. So you feel awake, you feel powerful, and that's exactly how caffeine, most of the ergogenic effects are working. So it says here the RPE and pain. So RPE is rate of perceived exertion. It feels less hard. So you do a workout, it feels less painful. So you can go harder. Certainly for CrossFit, for example, or high intensity sports, caffeine has shown some positive effects. And then also interestingly, it also improves calcium handling in the muscle. So if you know that the muscle can contract by one of the major mechanisms is the secretion of the release of calcium. All right, and caffeine also acts on that, so it actually improves the contractility of the muscle. So also for high power outputs, this could also be potentially useful or necessary. So that's also a more muscle centric effect of caffeine. So talk about dose and how it works. So caffeine is taken up very quickly. So 30 minutes or 30 to 60 minutes after ingestion, depends on how you ingest it, caffeine peaks in the blood. So it goes up really quick and then it goes down. It takes 3 to 6 hours before it's almost back to baseline level. That's why you should not take in caffeine right before you go to bed or even in the afternoon. So people really feel the arousal then and cannot go to bed. For me personally, I don't care. I can take an espresso when I go to bed and I will still sleep. So it really depends a little bit on the person. Again, PubMed ID is in the right side, so you can see it. So also interesting, there's different ways to take in caffeine. You can take it in a capsule. You take it with a gum. These actually are the ways I would recommend it before, for example, a big workout like the Open in a couple of days or a competition, because you know exactly how much caffeine you take in. I will show you in a second why that's important. So here, how you take it in, again, it doesn't really matter if you take it via coffee or via capsule. Obviously, it will approximately increase blood caffeine to the same extent. But the problem here, I will get to that in a second. So how much? 3 to 6 milligram per kilogram body weight. So it really depends a little bit on your body weight. If you weigh 50 as a woman, 55 kilograms, or 120 kilograms as a man, you obviously have to take in more total amount of caffeine. So the recommended dose for improved performance is 3 to 6 milligram per kilogram body weight. So for me, this would be, I'm weighing a little bit more than 80, so let's say 190 milligram on the low dose, and 300, 340 on the higher end milligram. All right, total caffeine. You can see here which sports or which exercises have seen increased performance by caffeine. Very nicely here. Aerobic endurance, so this is favoring caffeine. This means that these studies have shown a positive effect of caffeine on performance. And you see across the board, muscle strength, muscle endurance, anaerobic power, vertical jump height, and so on, all improved by caffeine, right? So it really affects the brain. You feel more powerful, you feel more ready to go, and that's why, or a large part why it works. Good, this is important. So it really depends on how much or how you brew your coffee, how much caffeine there is per milliliter or per unit coffee. You see? So this is just from a study where they checked the caffeine content of different brews. So I'm, for example, Bialetti. This is like boiled coffee kind of. That's no, this one. Sorry, mocha. This is what I always drink. 152 per 100 milliliter. So if I drink a good 200 milliliter, for me this would be a good dose of caffeine, for example, right? But also it depends on the beans, depends on how long and how much you put into the machine, and so on, and so forth, right? So it's very hard to know how much caffeine you just take in. It's just hard. So yeah, that's why if you really want to know exactly how much you take in, you could go for a gum or rather a capsule or so. Good. So beware of this. All right, so really beware of this, and yeah, maybe have a closer look at this. All right, let's see if there's any more questions. Not yet. So if anything pops up, just let me know, and yeah, I can go into this. Good. So where are we? Yeah, good. So let's talk about creatine, right? Creatine, heavily used supplement, and obviously one of the most researched supplements, most safe supplements to take in. And why do I show this slide? Do I show a slide of ATP, adenosine triphosphate? People who have followed the slides in the carousels on our Instagram pages, we have talked quite a lot about energy systems, right? So if you want to move, if you want to run, jump, whatever, contract the muscles, you need energy, and that energy is provided to the muscle cell, to the sarcomere, to the smallest contractile element of the muscle, via ATP, adenosine triphosphate. And this ATP needs to be recycled constantly. It provides energy, needs to be recycled. Provides energy, needs to be recycled. And this recycling is done by different energy systems across the board. And one of the most powerful energy system is the creatine phosphate ATP system, right? And I will explain you in a second. And that's why I call ATP the energy currency of the body, because it always has to be replaced. It is literally, you give the money to a person, and that money stays money, right? You don't just rip it open, or you throw away your Swiss francs. It always has to be passed on, and that's why ATP has been looked at this. So very quickly, not important for this this presentation, but I'm talking about high powerful, so a lot of ATP per second energy system, which is a creatine phosphate system. Then you also have other systems that we can also talk about. Not so important in this case, but here we're talking about this one. So for example, 10 seconds, 8 seconds, all-out sprints, or a high jump, or a 1RM snatch, here we're talking about the creatine phosphate system. All right, so this is how it works biochemically, and that's important. So you have phosphocreatine, which is a phosphate group that is bound to creatine, and with an enzyme called creatine kinase, actually an important one, you can creatine can be dissociated from the phosphate group, and this dissociation provides free energy for ATP to be synthesized from ADP and this phosphate group. You see, so the catabolism or the breakdown of phosphocreatine provides energy, and this energy is then used to recycle, as I said, this energy currency of ATP. And obviously, the higher your creatine phosphate stores are, the more potent or the longer, the fractionally longer this system can work. And that would be beneficial for performance, certainly for strength performance. So this is interesting. So the exact mechanisms why creatine can actually improve your performance are not exactly known. We just know that if you're taking creatine in a specific dose, you increase your phosphocreatine stores. And that is why you can actually generate more power output for short duration sprints or strength events. For example, one of the most important thing is, let's say you want to build muscle mass. One of the important things to build muscle mass is training volume, right, and training frequency as well. So if you can do 2 to 3 reps per set more with creatine supplementation, your training effects will be larger. And according to me, that's the most important thing why creatine actually works. You see? So increased. So these are just from some papers. Again, you can see it here. Kreider et al. Just type it in and you'll find it in Google. Increased single and repetitive sprint performance. Work performed during sets of max effort. So that's what I mean. You can do more sets with creatine. Increased muscle mass, but that is a derivative of this, I think. Mostly. So increased muscle mass, enhanced glycogen synthesis, less strong evidence, increased work capacity, greater training tolerance. Right. So that's kind of the whole point of creatine. All right. Good. Good. Let me go back. Yes. All right. So this is just from a little study to show what the potential benefits could be. Here they did a 30-second all-out sprint on the bike, right? So it's called a Wingate test. So 30 seconds all out, so as hard as you can, as many calories as possible. And here you see the average power on placebo, and here they took creatine for a set amount of time, and you see there was approximately a 4% improvement. And also the peak power mostly was improved. So you don't have to expect all of a sudden that you become a strong man with some creatine, right? It can potentially help slightly your performance, but don't expect very, very large effects in any case. Good. So this is something also people asked on the Instagram page. So you can do different loading protocols, right? Before, like 10-15 years ago, everyone went with first 3 to 4 days heavy loading, so 5 to 10 grams even per day, right? And even higher. So a high dose for a short amount of time, 4 to 5 days, and then the maintenance phase for let's say 3 grams for around 20 to 25 days. All right. So you always have to supplement it for a longer time. This is not an acute supplement. You can also do gradual loading, just a longer period of time, take 3 to 4 grams per day in. Okay, so both work. Studies have shown that you can increase your creatine stores. What you can see here is that vegans or vegetarians actually have less creatine in their muscles. That's because creatine is exclusively available in animal-based or animal meat, animal muscles, right? Specifically red meat. So if you don't eat that, there is a part of it that can be synthesized. I will explain to you in a second. So it can be made by the body, but like 50% approximately of your total creatine is actually ingested. So if you are a vegan, you can actually have some benefits or more benefits with creatine supplementation. all right, compared to a person who already eats 3 to 4 times a week red meat, for example, right? Potentially, if you take it together with carbohydrates, for example, apple juice or so, or yeah, some juices, then you can improve your take up or your loading. Good. Beta alanine. Also, we have talked about this one. Beta alanine. It's an amino acid that is actually a precursor of carnosine. Maybe you have watched one of our earlier videos where I talk about how it is possible that you become sick after a sprint. Okay, so you do a sprint, 30 seconds all out on the bike, you become super sick. You feel like nauseous and want to throw up and vomit and so on. Why is this? That is all because of the H+. So it is, I will talk about this here in a second. So if you break down glucose or break down energy to, so glucose to energy, ATP, we talked about this one, and there's no oxygen available in the muscle, or it is the power output is higher than what the oxygenating system can provide you, there is lactic acid buildup. Lactic acid is a very weak acid and it dissociates almost immediately into lactate, we all know this one, and also H+ protons. And these are actually responsible for lowering the pH of your blood. And that's important because if you have a lot of buildup of these H+ ions, then your pH will decrease from 7.3 to, in worst case or in severe cases, 6.9, 6.95. And this is obviously completely against homeostasis and you will feel very bad. The body doesn't want this. So one of the things you can buffer this, so you can stop the accumulation of these H+ ions, is by taking in beta alanine. And beta alanine is, it forms together with L-histidine, carnosine. And carnosine is in the muscle a very potent buffering system of this H+. So that's why your muscle pH in this case will actually remain slightly higher with carnosine supplementation. And that's why it works also for high intensity exercise of a relatively short duration. Good, because then there's a lot of H+ and glycolysis buildup. All right, so as I said, the H+, you can see here, this is the ones that get buffered by the beta alanine and the carnosine. What is it? I can tell you this is a little bit of biochemistry, but maybe more importantly is can it actually improve your performance? This is the effect size, so that's how large the performance benefit is, basically. And you can see mostly in shorter duration exercises, whereas exercises where there's a lot of lactic acid or H+ at least buildup. So think about for CrossFit athletes, a Fran, 2 to 4 minutes, perfect example. Or for track athletes, let's say a 400 meter or even longer, maybe even an 800 meter. These people all take beta alanine to improve their performance. Okay, you see here, for example, when it's longer, already the effect is much less. Good. Again, a nice overview study here from the International Society of Sports Nutrition, and what they say about this is that the dosing should be also long. So this is again not an acute supplement. You have to build up this carnosine in the muscle. It doesn't go from overnight. It doesn't work overnight. So talking about dosing, 4 to 6 grams for 4 to 5 weeks, building up to a competition to load the muscle. All right, so similar amounts than, for example, creatine. Good. Any questions about this? If something is unclear, just let me know, and then I can always help you in the chat, or I can explain you. Good. So beta alanine, these are all very caffeine and creatine, very well researched, and also a lot of good data on these. All right. So another one that is maybe a bit less known and also has been researched mostly by Andrew Jones, is beetroot. Beetroot juice, not really the beetroot juice, but the nitrates that are contained in beets and mostly red beets. Why? Interestingly, so here you can see a little bit of an overview. It's not the nicest picture in the world, but how does that work? It all is, as I said, evolves around nitrates. So nitrate is NO3. You can see it here. That gets reduced if you take in beetroot juice or beetroots or also spinach and leafy greens. I'm sorry. They get reduced by anaerobic bacteria in the oral cavity. So in your mouth, they get actually reduced to nitrite, NO2, right? And this NO2 get reduced in the stomach, gets taken up, get reduced in the stomach to NO, which is a gas that actually is floating around in your bloodstream. Good. So it's bioactive in tissues and in blood. And this NO is the most potent vasodilator of your vessels. Vasodilation means that they open up. This is a very important concept in physiology. For example, why is this important? Let's say you start exercising, right? You sit, I'm sitting here, and now all of a sudden I say, ciao guys, I'm going for a hard run, 400 meter. The blood has to be shunted from everywhere in the body to mostly the legs, right? And the organs at that moment need less blood on a relative basis. So there will be vasoconstriction to some of my organs and vasodilation to my muscles, right? So the blood can flow into my muscles. And an important contributor to this is NO, molecule. We talk about this in our podcast with Evan Piken. If you are interested in physiology, you really have to look at this. We have published this approximately a month ago, where we talk about NO and the effects on physiology. So that's important. If you have more vasodilation, you potentially have more flux of oxygen towards the muscles, so the muscles can work better. Importantly, it also improves the movement efficiency. And that's something that is a bit more controversial, but some studies have shown that NO competes with oxygen in the electron transport chain. So very basic, a very high level. What is that? If you want to make ATP, so generate ATP via oxidative pathways, so via oxygen in the mitochondria, this happens predominantly through the electron transport chain, right? So electrons gets passed throughout this series of molecules in the mitochondria, from electron transporters to electron acceptors, and this generates kind of a proton gradient in the mitochondrial membrane, and this proton gradient is used to produce ATP. And it's specifically the complex 4, so one of the later or the latest protein that actually converts O2 to water. That's interesting that there is a competition with NO and oxygen, and for some reason or for a specific reason, NO makes the electron transport chain, the whole system, more efficient. So you need less oxygen to yield the same or more ATP. That's kind of the basic premise of NO, and that's why beetroot juice, or in one way or another, can actually improve your mitochondrial respiration and your efficiency of exercise. Good. So that's also here, as I said here, mitochondrial respiration. So basically you need less oxygen to run at the same pace or to exercise at the same pace. Slightly, but this is the effect of beetroot juice. So we have done a lot of studies actually on this in my PhD. So this is my wife, Evie Maskelin. She has done some studies in high altitude twins, and also in people where obviously oxygen is limited, and there we also saw some positive effects of beetroot juice. And yeah, there's many more studies on this topic. An important study I want to explain is here, a dose response study. So what does it mean, dose response? You give a low dose, middle dose, and high dose. and you want to see if first nitrate is actually increasing in the blood. That's one. And second, performance is also increasing linearly with the dose. Maybe you should give, then we can kind of know how much nitrate or beetroot juice we should provide as a supplement, right? So here, what they did, they gave water 4.2 millimole, 8.4 millimole, and 16.8 millimole. So that is equivalent. I can look it up. I think 350 milligrams of nitrate. I will have a look in a second how much that exactly is this millimole, right? So what you can see here is a plasma and O2, so nitrite, so the reduced form already. You can see there's a very nice dose response, right? So water, nothing, then it goes up, goes down after 12 hours, and here goes up nicely, and it's not to baseline, but clearly goes down as well. After 24 hours, even after 24 hours, the high 16.8 is still a little bit higher, as you can see. Good. And then the effects on performance. The effects on performance, so this is basically 70 milliliter of a concentrated juice, 140 and 280 milliliter of a concentrated juice. You see here that 70 has a minor effect, not significant, on a exercise task, so meaning performance. And then you see nicely it goes up, but it doesn't go up further if you provide more beetroot juice. So more is not always better. That's important to understand here, right? So in this case, you would say, okay, for my athlete, I would give an acute dose of 140 milliliter of beetroot juice. And what is that? A concentrated beetroot juice. Let's see if I can find the slide. Yes. So here, yep. So what you see here is, I checked this, and you can buy these concentrated beetroot juices, meaning these bottles where they just basically extracted the water, and then you have like this concentrated form, because otherwise you have to drink quite a lot of natural beetroot juice. We're talking about half a liter or even a liter, right? That's not feasible for many people, so that's why people don't do this. And I checked this. This is for Switzerland, but you definitely find it in your country as well. And then I checked how much they actually have of nitrate, right? So here you can see the amount. So one shot red beet is the same as 500 milliliter of red beet juice. So it's a concentrated form. And here we are. You have to take it 2 to 3 hours for the exercise, and it's best to take a couple, to take it 4 to 6 days continuously, right? So you can take it straight or you can take it continuously. And then here it has around 450 milligram of nitrate, in naturally. So that's why they take it. They don't put it in or something. It's just because the nitrate is high concentrated in beetroots. That's why they do it. So that's an easy one to take. So you can buy this. I would recommend against buying in the store 500 milliliter of beetroot juice. I would rather go for the supplements here, because you also know better how much nitrate there is in. Important disclaimer: sometimes they take out the nitrates from beetroot juice. So even maybe you're drinking beetroot juice, but there's no nitrate in it, and that's also useless, obviously. So here, those 5 to 8 millimole, so 1 or 2 shots, 5 days prior competition every day for the best effect. But you can also take it acutely, 2 to 3 hours before the exercise. Why 2 to 3 hours? You see here, it starts to peak 2 to 3 hours after you have taken it in. That's why they take it. You want to start exercise when the nitrate are the highest, and the nitrite are the highest in the blood, obviously. Good. So as I said, you can go for a full beetroot drink. I don't like it. It has a very earthy flavor. I would recommend against it as well. But Beet, for example, that's one of the earlier brands, can also do the job perfectly. Alrighty, let's go to actually the last one of today that I want to discuss in more detail. Although there's one bonus one at the end. I will a new one that really is very new and not many people talk about. But here we talk about baking soda. So actually in my video related to reducing sickness after sprinting, as I talked about earlier, I talk about baking soda. So baking soda, literally baking soda, is something you can buy in the store, is a very cheap alternative, or not even an alternative. It works in a similar way as beta-alanine, but not in the muscle, so intramuscularly, but outside the muscle, in the blood. So if you take in baking soda, again, you can buffer the H plus ions that are that coming from anaerobic glycolysis or anaerobic movements. You see? So if you have an increase in H plus, you see, then you will have a decrease in pH or an acidification of your blood. Or vice versa, if you have a lowering of H plus, for example, by bicarbonate, you will have a higher pH. Okay, so it all depends on the pH. It all evolves around the pH. With sodium bicarbonate, you can keep the pH better in check during and after high intensity exercise, and that's why it works. Right? Problem: sodium bicarbonate. The name says itself. It contains also a sodium molecule, and if you want to take in the recommended amount, I will get to that. You also take in a lot of sodium, which can be negative for health. All right. Good. I will explain this in a second. So here is a study, and you can see here that if you take in sodium bicarbonate, just look at the black or the dark rounds here. The better or the more change in sodium bicarbonate in the blood, this case, the better the improvement in power. You see here, so it's a kind of a linear effect. If you take ammonium chloride, so an acid, to decrease, this is why the study is so nice, to decrease the blood pH, right? So exactly what you don't want, you see a decrease in performance in high intensity exercise. All right, so that's why you always want to have a high or at least a neutral pH during and after exercise. How much? A lot. That's a problem. 0.3 grams per kilogram body weight. All right, so again, for me, this would be 0.3 times 80. It's 2.5 grams, right? Approximately 80, 83. So you need to take in, you need to take in, or am I completely wrong? I'm sorry for this. So 0.3 times 85, sorry, of course not. 25 grams. That's why I was like, no. Yeah. You have to take in 25 grams acutely to have the performance benefits. Maybe slightly less could also work, but that's the recommended dose now in the literature. So 25 grams of salts, basically, right? That's very heavy on the stomach. You will feel this, you will feel, some people feel nauseous, they have to vomit because of this and so on. That's also why people are rather preferring beta-alanine than actually sodium bicarbonate. But now there's more and more research on this, and more people have been looking into how can I reduce the gastrointestinal problems of this supplement. And now, for example, a friend of mine, this is not that I paid, or this is some kind of this is some kind of publicity, but they have made some kind of sport drink that also has carbohydrates that have more slow releasing sodium bicarbonate. Okay, so it should be less hard on the stomach. And yeah, that's why here it says alkaline pH. Alkaline means the opposite of acid. So they want to keep your pH high. All right, so it's better, also drinkable, and so on. So there are now options. You don't have to run to the grocery store and take in 20 grams of sodium bicarbonate. There is on the market some better options also together with a gel, for example, a carbohydrate gel that I've seen. All right, so that's maybe a better option. Good. Yeah, quick pause to have a look at the questions here. Yes, Joe asked, so if there was a supplement for NO2, you would not need the juice, right? Absolutely, absolutely, very correct. So what we actually did during my PhD was quite funny. It's relatively illegal, but that's all right to explain here on the stream. What we did for elite cyclists, we didn't give them whatever 500 of those little bottles of concentrated juice. This was not feasible also to during the race and so on. No, we just put nitrates, isolated nitrate that you can buy mostly from pharmacological stores, and we put them in pills. So we gave the NO3 simply to the people directly, and that obviously had the same effect than the juice. The juice is just because the nitrates are more concentrated in beets because they sit in the ground mostly. Good. So great question, Joe. Indeed, exactly. You can just take in the nitrate. I'm not sure. You have to look at it if they sell nitrates as a supplement. I don't think so. You can have a look. I don't know. Good. Yeah, but absolutely good question. So summary. Right, so also here you can just go back and have a look. Let's say you have a competition. Let's not talk about the Open, but because most people, the Open is going to be more training than anything now when the 25 percentile or the 75% actually goes through, right? 25 percentile, top 25% goes through. So let's say quarterfinals, all right, of the CrossFit Open or some kind of triathlon or anything that is next month or in 60 days approximately. What you do? Beetroot juice. Beetroot juice is an acute supplement. So you take this 4 to 5 days before the competition day. Don't take it now, that's useless. All right? You want to take it to improve your performance during the competition. Beta-alanine. Beta-alanine you want to load because you need the carnosine to load up in your muscles. So you need to do this 30 to 40 days before the start of the competition, 2 to 5 grams a day. One thing, take the slow release. Slow release means it gets released slower into the bloodstream. Maybe some people who have taken beta-alanine have felt this tingling effect in their extremities, also the cheeks and the fingers. That's because high in concentration of beta-alanine in the blood. So take the slow release, that should enhance or better at least these different effects. Then caffeine acute obviously, right? You can drink coffee. It's not that the effect of caffeine would actually decrease. That's also maybe an interesting point. You can take caffeine throughout normal and then just take a maybe slightly higher dose, 3 to 6 milligrams in pills or in a gum or so before competition. I would recommend. Right? Creatine, also same thing as beta-alanine. You want to load this up, meaning you can start with 20 grams a day for 3 to 4 days, and then slowly go to 2 to 3 grams a day for the remainder of the period. That's a good option to load creatine in the muscles. Bicarbonate, I mean, yes, you can try it. Unless you're really an elite athlete and you need to get to the next stage and you want to get out every second and every percentage of your performance, I would go for bicarbonate. But for most people, this is quite a harsh supplement and also maybe not the healthiest one. But if you want to take it, it's going to be acute as well. 2 to 3 hours before the training session or the competition, and you take a high dose, 0.3 grams per kilogram, which is a lot, right? Or, as I said, other ways to do it. Good. Then, again, questions, just put them in the comment section or the chat. Happy to answer them. So that's the most evidence-based, simple, supplements that have enjoyed the best evidence, right? Or the best studies around it. Then there's also other supplements, obviously, and that is BCAAs. And now I'm talking about this, for example, these drinks, 𝐑𝐄𝐋𝐿, for example. There's other drinks that contain BCAAs. And I just want to have a quick overview. You don't have to, not too much in detail, why BCAAs are actually not a good supplement. And it's really waste of your money and your time and your whatever. Maybe they taste well, but yeah, there's other options. So 𝐑𝐄𝐿, for example, has caffeine. You see here? So that's maybe a good way to take in the caffeine. You know how much caffeine it has, 180 milligrams. It has no sugar. Why? I don't know. And it has, obviously, the BCAAs. How much? 3 grams. That's actually not so much, by the way. BCAAs, what are the BCAAs? Maybe we get there. We get there in a second. First, let's just tackle and look at all the ingredients in 𝐑𝐄𝐿 and which one could actually be good for performance and which one actually are maybe not so good for performance or even hamper performance. All right. So first of all, caffeine. I don't think we have to explain. So the good, right, is caffeine. I just explained this, effects on the brain, effects on the muscle, a good performance enhancer if you take this before the training, obviously, or before the exercise or the competition. Don't take 𝐑𝐿 because of its caffeine after as a recovery. I mean, that doesn't make any sense, in my opinion. You want to have the caffeine before. Then, the most important, let's say, ingredient where they did all the marketing for is BCAAs. BCAAs are essential amino acids. You have to consume them because the body cannot synthesize BCAAs. Okay, and you have 3 of those branched chain amino acids. Leucine. A large part of my PhD went around leucine. I did a lot of research and studies on leucine, isoleucine, and valine. And this is the most important one because leucine, I always call it, it triggers the synthesis of new proteins after training. So let's say you do a training and you want to grow your muscles. You can only grow your muscles if you increase the amount of, let's say sarcomeres and increase your volume of the muscle. This can only be done by synthesizing or making more proteins, right? And leucine, when it is available in the diet, mostly, it will trigger this whole machinery biochemical machinery. Not isoleucine, not valine, not lysine, not other amino acids. It has to be specifically leucine. So that's why I'm a little bit skeptical about the effects of collagen because it doesn't contain any leucine, right? So that's important. So wait, see, I have some problems with my cam. All right. So that's an important point. So here we are. My cam should come back in a second. Don't worry about it. Good. Then here we are. Then you have the insufficient. So what do I mean with that? Let's see if my cam comes back. Hopefully. Yeah, here we are. So this is a study where they did exercise and they gave BCAAs after the training. A high dose, much more than the 𝐑𝐿 actually, 6 grams, you can see it here, or milk proteins. So milk proteins contain all the amino acids, so the 20 amino acids, as well as the BCAAs, obviously, that are included. You can see here the protein synthesis. So that's what I said, the novel synthesis of novel proteins after exercise. You want that to be high to have the effect on recovery and also on muscle mass. You can see here the first 2 hours, there's no effect or no difference between BCAAs and milk. So let's just look at the gray and the black bars. No differences. So you say, well, BCAAs are equally good as milk proteins. But then, obviously, it all falls down. It goes quickly down because you can only trigger the muscle protein synthesis, but you cannot sustain it. And here you see a lower effect of BCAAs. You see? So that's why I always recommend against BCAAs. Just taking away protein is, first of all, it's cheaper and it's more complete. It also doesn't have any effect on soreness or a recovery. Here you can see placebo or BCAAs. This is the after training. So fast means how sore you were or how sore you are from a training. And you see here that there was no effect on, it's not that the BCAAs improved your muscle performance or recovery or whatsoever. You probably need a full amino acid palette of, for example, whey or vegan sources of proteins. That also works, obviously. Good. So that's important. Then the forgotten. I always call it the forgotten. So what is not in 𝐑𝐄𝐘𝐿 and what I don't understand are carbohydrates or sugars. They tell or they market it as a recovery drink, but actually it doesn't have any carbohydrates, which is very important after a CrossFit session or a triathlon session or even a strength session. Because if you do intense exercise, this is very intense, less intense, you will break down the amount of glucose molecules, so sugar molecules, that are sitting inside the muscle. And you want to replenish these to get back the next day or 2 days later to have a good recovery. That's actually one of the most important things why you should consume carbohydrates after training, right? So if you take, for example, 𝐑𝐄𝐿 straight after training, first, you won't rebuild all the proteins or you won't max out recovery of the proteins because of the BCAAs. And second, you won't have any sugars, any carbohydrates. So you will have a delayed and even impaired resynthesis of these sugars in the muscle, which is called glycogen resynthesis. So there's not much use to taking a 𝐑𝐄𝐿 straight after training as a recovery drink. And then redundant, it has a high dose of vitamins, which I also don't really understand why they just put it in. I think because it sounds healthy, but there is no evidence. Actually, was also a question on our slides. Is there is no evidence that high doses of vitamins actually contribute to health or performance. Certainly not when the person actually has a healthy diet. For example, my wife, she's pregnant and she also gets immediately from the gynecologist a full palette of all the vitamins. And I asked her, like, why does she have to take all the vitamins? I mean, she eats a healthy, balanced diet and she eats enough. Yeah, it's just to be sure, right? To be sure, which I understand, obviously, and she takes them, nothing against it. But I always have the question, like, okay, but if you eat a healthy, good diet, there's zero evidence in whole literature that you actually need supplemental vitamins. So, yeah, you can do it if you eat McDonald's the whole day, potentially, but if you eat a normal, good diet, multivitamins don't help you. Conclusion? I mean, yeah, that's basically it. There's no evidence behind the claims of the supplement company regarding BCAAs, so really any BCAAs also in powder, just go for a whey shake or milk protein or a piece of meat or vegan options such as pea rice protein and so on. Much better idea. Good. Yeah, they're expensive. Natural protein sources are better, as I said, and here you can also look at some of the details. Why you should go for a chicken fillet and maybe some pasta or whatever, lentils, some vegan options compared to this highly processed 𝐑𝐄𝐿 drink. Good. Then just as a goodie, I wanted to show you one more thing that is super interesting that I just came across and not many people know this, so that's why I want to show you. And we talked about creatine. Sorry, can't think anymore. We talked about creatine, right? Creatine, important, good supplement that for many people, certainly the people who do a lot of strength in CrossFit or High Rocks, mostly strength movements could help. But there's another precursor. So precursor means that you need this actually the step before the synthesis of creatine. It's called, a very difficult name, Guanidinoacetic Acid. I will call it GA. All right. So what is GA? It is a precursor of creatine. So as I said, creatine you can ingest, getting from meat from animals, so muscles from animals. Around 50% will be from this source. But also it can be synthesized by the body, and the synthesis comes from this GA molecule. And actually it has a direct effect, or it can have a direct effect on muscle growth and the synthesis of creatine. So it can even further enhance your creatine stores compared to just ingesting creatine. I will show you what I mean with that. So here, yes, is a study. What they did, or this is not the study I mean. Let me see. Yeah, here we are, sorry. So what they did here is they provided to humans supplementation of GAA, so Guanidinoacetic acid, and creatine. And in different tissues, they actually saw that the GAA improved or increased the creatine more than just supplementing creatine. Additionally, as I said, so that's useful. So that's the black bars are the GAs. You see, in the brain, mostly in the brain, and also in the vastus medialis, which is a muscle. Obviously, that's the most interesting one. So it was a higher effect. That's super cool. And also, why is this also interesting? Because it directly affects the this pathway. So maybe you know already from previous live streams that one of my PhDs and where I did a lot of research into was mTOR and how signals from outside the muscle were actually affected towards muscle growth. Good. So, and one of the things, for example, you do exercise. Why does the muscle know, or how does the muscle know that the exercise should increase the size of the muscle? So how is the adaptation occurring? And one of those things is mTOR. And mTOR signals these effects of insulin, of resistance training, of essential amino acids towards, should I do muscle growth? Should I increase my muscle growth or not? Right? And via a specific pathway, we're not going to go too much into this, GAA can directly affect mTOR and hence muscle growth. Good. There's only a few studies in humans that have looked at GAA, but I think this supplement could be quite important and people will get to know it quite quickly. At this moment, it's actually only provided to cattle. Because they know that in cattle, in cows and so on, it increases muscle growth. And obviously that's very useful for farmers, right? I don't think, but please prove me wrong, that you can just buy it on the market now, just as you can buy creatine. I think it won't take too long, but maybe something to have on your radar. All right. So GAA, a cool supplement. Good. To be honest, I think that was it for me. That was it for me. Any further questions? It's now the time to ask them. Otherwise, we'll stay here 30 seconds. Otherwise, I thank you for your attention. If you found this interesting, just give us a like. That's always useful. And you can always rewatch this whole episode on YouTube. Just go to the links and so on. Copy paste the PubMed IDs, and then you find also the links to the papers. Hope you found this interesting. I definitely did. Let me just it's okay. My camera died down, but that's fine. It's overheated. Anyway, good. Thanks for your attention, and definitely see you soon. I will do a live stream for live commenting on the open. We'll get you to that. Ciao, thank you, and have a nice day. Bye bye.